Hello, everyone. Welcome in to Living with Intention. I'm April Wyatt. If you're new to me, I am a holistic coach, and I love to bring forward different people, different ideas about wellness. And during this time of year, there's a lot happening in our lives, and communication is really essential to really our well-being as we go into the office, or if we're even out in the mall. Whoever does that anymore, I don't know, but as we're out in the world or with other individuals, it's so important to understand how our presence, how our own communication with ourselves ripples out and influences our relationships, both personally and professionally. And it's so essential for us to be mindful of how we're thinking about ourselves, what we're communicating to ourselves, even about ourselves, and our perceptions of others. And so when we can be in a space to create more space for ourselves, then we feel a little bit more at ease. We're able to lean in and listen to other people without having those prejudgments or thinking, oh my gosh, I have to attend another office meeting, or I have to go here, I have to go there. Let's pause, slow down, and really understand how we're communicating, because that affects our body too, and we have that stress. I just posted a social post about the abominable snowman, right? And we have all these thoughts, which are like snowflakes. And when they start snowballing and it get bigger and bigger and bigger, then we feel that tension building up in our body. And that's what I'm also about. I'm also about easing stress with the mind and body. So how are we communicating with people? How are we engaging with ourselves? And when we witness what's happening, then we can make better choices of how we're connecting with ourselves and how we're interacting with others. And today we have two very special guests that I'm going to bring up. But we're going to touch on some topics here that I really hope will really help you out, right? To be more aware and build resiliency as you're going through the holidays and any days, right, of your life. So we're looking at any time you might feel misunderstood or not heard. It could be managing those emotional activations that we feel, and also navigating those difficult personalities that we are interacting with throughout the day, and also setting those boundaries, right? So we don't feel guilty. And that way we can communicate clearly under those stressful situations. So without further ado, I'm going to bring up my guests. I have the amazing Royce Blake and the incredible Sean Meyer here. And we want to just have you introduce yourselves and what you do in the world to help people communicate more effectively. How's that?
Absolutely. So great to have. Thank you for having me on, my good friend April. And yes, I am Royce. I was on the radio for a long time, and I love this topic because part of my job was answering a request line where people could just call into the radio station, and you'd think most would be requesting songs, but a large percentage were there just to tell me that I sucked. And after you get a few hundred phone calls about that, pretty soon you kind of develop this shield after a while. Because I learned that no one really doing better than you, more successful than you, will ever put you down. And once you can get that mindset in your brain, it makes it a lot easier. Best way to handle it is say, hey, thanks for listening. I really appreciate it. Or if you're on LinkedIn, it's like, hey, thanks for boosting my reach. It drives them crazy. So believe me, I've had unfortunately a lot of experience with let's say negative vibes. How about that?
Well, isn't that interesting? Here you are, a radio personality, and you're broadcasting, and you're doing your job. And I guess that people see that as an easy target, maybe, to throw those tomatoes at you. When really you're such a great guy, Royce. I can't imagine anybody who would call in to do that.
Well, you have to step back too and realize, I mean, my average audience was over 100,000 people. So, I mean, when you're talking to that many people, of course, there's going to be some, some weirdos out there. But, there were some lovely people too, made a lot of friends that I never met. But, it was great that they were out there. And I'm sure we'll get more into, the actual, boy, do I have stories about radio station Christmas parties too. But, man. Yes, that's a big, whether you're gathering at home or at the office. I think at least I've got a few tips to share.
For sure, with communication, you've done that all of your life, and that's amazing. Sean, how about you?
Well, I like saying that I eat, drink, and sleep communication. I've been studying communication for a very long time. I work with parents, with their kids. I work with individuals, I work with teams, and I work with very large organizations. My goal is to be a catalyst to get inside the individual or the couple or the team and figure out how they're communicating and what they can do, if they want to improve the outcomes, improve their satisfaction, improve their joy. And because of all my experiences, there are lots of ways of doing that. But mostly I need to get to know people, figure out how to help them. And two good news points. One is good news that you have invited Royce and myself to join you today, because this is a very hot subject. It's a challenging time for a lot of people for a lot of reasons, but that doesn't mean we have to surrender to the challenges. We can rise above them. And secondly, I'm impressed at your audience, because the only way, as you talk about intentionality, April, we can get better at anything, whether it's mowing the lawn, cooking, or communicating, is by being open to discovering new dimensions of it. And the fact that people are curious enough to log into this, and some of those people already have some degrees of expertise in this field already, but the openness and receptivity to learning is something I cherish in everybody I meet. So appreciate you and appreciate them.
Oh, and we appreciate you both being here. And you said something very important, Sean, and it's about getting to know people. Getting to know, and for me, it's inviting that curiosity. Yes, we've been around these people for, I don't know, weeks, if you're new to a job, or if it's family relations, your whole life. But do we really know them? And what predisposed, instances that we have been in conflict with some people kind of jade how we connect with them. We hold those as that is exactly who that person is, or they said this and they did this, and this is why X, Y, and Z, versus being a little bit more curious of getting to know, who the person really is. I think that's essential.
I think curiosity is, I'll call it an opening stance. If we show up with conviction and certainty and we know everything, we're never going to make ground meeting other people or getting to know people. There's no exchange of thoughts or feelings. It's opinionated. And so if there's an opening stance of curiosity, of interest, whether at the office party where we're curious about the toys somebody has on their desk, or whether it's at home and we're visiting somebody else and we're curious about their pots or pans, or their kids or their pets. The curiosity is, for me, the strongest opening stance in developing communication and improving the potential for outcomes that are constructive for both parties.
Mm-hmm.
I totally agree. It's in marketing especially, everybody, once you get it down, you can win at all kinds of things. Everybody is thinking, what's in it for me, right? Everyone's favorite word is their name. And their second favorite thing is, you asking about them. And I think, a question that I always seems to work in networking or whatever, I'll ask them instead of like, what do you do or whatever? I'll ask them, what are you excited about?
Yes.
Yes.
And, that just opens up a whole new floodgate because they may be there for some phone company or whatever, but what they really love is kayaking, So there you go.
I love that, Royce, because then you're opening up something that they're excited about, and that brings that joy, and they want to share more about what they love. And then you get to know a little bit more about who they are on a deeper level. It's just not surface level communication
Right.
here.
And you know what? The more they talk about themselves, the more they like you. So
Say
go
that
figure
again.
The more they talk about themselves, the more they'll like you.
And that's because you're listening and you're
Exactly.
interested. That's what people want. They want to be heard, seen, and valued. That's it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're practicing care, not
Mhm.
I have an inventory of questions for getting to know you. We're dating. This is question 3. No. You're actually engaging people and showing that you care about them and letting them describe what the subject is they're going to talk about, like kayaking.
Right.
Yes.
And it opens up no matter what, you can just keep going, right? Well, when did you get into kayaking? I have no idea what kayaking's all about. Where do you start? Did you take lessons? They just can, open up a giant labyrinth of questions. It depends. Obviously, you can change the questions if you want to end the conversation, just switch it right back. How much do you make? And that'll shut them right up.
No, we don't want to go into that. That really puts the conversation to a halt. Depending
Absolutely.
on who you're talking about, though, if they really like
Exactly.
to talk about that aspect of who they are and how much money they make.
Royce, if I may, there's a sort of a trap door with that question, though. Some people will ask, "What do you like doing?" or "Where'd you go on vacation?" or "What's your favorite food?" only to get the opportunity to say, "Well, mine is," and then run the conversation for 45 minutes. So there's this value in asking that question where you've really got to care. It's not to get them talking about a subject that you can take over. You're like, "Hey, oh, so do I. Let me tell you about my last 4 adventures." It's not to steal
Right.
the story. It's to show respect for their story.
Absolutely. And something I teach podcasters is something I call become suddenly inquisitive because the human mind can only answer one question at a time.
Mhm.
So if they're rambling, this is how I get guests to shut up, by the way. You just interrupt and say, oh, whoa, wait, before I forget, I wanted to ask you about that AMCO project. How is that going? And
Good
then
transition.
immediately they can't handle both questions.
Yeah. See, this is why I knew you two would be amazing at co-hosting with me together, because you're bringing up different aspects of the care and also authentic listening, right? Caring about the person as an individual, not to meet our own needs, but to truly understand who they are. And that's what I absolutely love to do. Is I love co-creating with other people. I'm more interested in them and what gifts they have to offer and how they're creating ripples, in their communities, in the world, because it all starts with us, and being able to be in that space of truly listening and being curious. That's when more doors open. That's when you realize that you have more in common than what surface level tells us. Yeah.
Oh,
So,
you bet.
April,
Go ahead, Sean.
a word that, and I feel like apologizing. It's an academic word, but I love it. And it feels like it fits right here, which is what we do is we can either manage the conversation to a constructive outcome for all parties, especially the person we're talking to, or we can be a victim of it and blame them for not caring about our subject. And we can go through a variety of conversations around the water cooler or at home with a bunch of family and feel victimized by their subjects. I know that I'm not very good at sports. And if I'm talking to somebody who only wants to talk about sports, my goal is not to be upset about me not getting my time talking about my toys. My goal is for that person to feel good. I will ask them questions about this. I'll stay in the conversation on purpose because I think that whoever knows the most about communication has the greatest opportunity to influence a positive outcome. And the things that Royce is talking about are little strategies for managing towards the outcome of constructive value and respect for the people we're talking to, not taking things away. Conversations at home and in the office should not always be about selling something or proving that I'm better than somebody else is. It's about engaging people and resulting in some kind of positive outcome for the people we're engaged with.
Oh, most definitely. I couldn't agree with you more on that, Sean. And that brings back to what I was talking about in the very beginning, when people feel misunderstood or unheard. So when we engage in those conversations of, oh, well, in an authentic way, not a snide way, like, oh, tell me all about that. There's different ways, as Royce knows, how you use your voice, how your body, is also communicating too when you're having these connections with others. But really asking, oh, well, can you unpack that for me a little bit more? I want to make sure that I'm grasping what you're sharing with me or how you're expressing right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can even elevate it by saying things like, wow, that's incredible. I could never do that. And that elevates them to a much higher level in their mind, even if it was, their origami hobby or whatever. It doesn't have to be spectacular. So just by, acknowledging them and saying, wow, you're much better at that than I could ever be. Even if, you don't really care, right? But you want to make them feel better. And listening is by far the most valuable skill you can possibly have. I've seen so many podcasters, for instance, are so worried about getting to question number 7 that they miss some magical gold the guest just spewed out. And that drives me crazy.
Yeah.
And it works for Aunt Emma too, right? You want to give her that peace, and this is your time. Be there.
Even if it's the third time you heard the story.
Exactly.
Yes, that has a lot going on there. Seriously, in all family dynamics or even in the office, can you just go a little bit further with that, Sean, about hearing that same story over and how we can become a little bit more curious about it to show that we do care?
Happy to do that. I want to come back to your word of intentionality. What is my intention? And so my mom died about 10 years ago. And the last year, she would call up just to not be alone. Her intention was to have contact with her son. It wasn't to accomplish anything. It wasn't to build anything. It wasn't to borrow anything. So she would talk sometimes for an hour. And I would reach a point where I would ask myself, what is my mom's intention in this call? And what is my intention? My intention is I want her to feel heard. So I don't care if it's the third or fourth time she told me the story. That's not important. The objective, the outcome I want, the intention I want is for her to feel heard, understood, and loved. So I would paraphrase her for the third time. It didn't make any difference because that's where she was. I've got to meet people where they are.
Yes, you have to. Otherwise, our minds are going to still beat that drum of, oh, here we go again. Here's the same story. I don't know why they keep saying that. But when we have that different perspective of how can I really show care right now? How can I bring the best self of me into this conversation, and doing our best to hold space and allowing this person to share that story or whatever it is, as long as it's in a healthy way, right? I'm not saying, just like Royce was sharing about the disgruntled people calling up at the radio station. There's a time and place for everything, right? That's when you need to just walk away. Yeah. So Royce, when I said that, I just want to bring you up here of how do we manage when we are experiencing those people who are just not present, who are working from their old schemas about
You mean
ourselves, or
crazy Uncle Steve?
yeah, let's just say that. And then how do you manage that when we're in that space?
I think there's a couple, let's take a holiday dinner, for instance. It's if you can, set some rules, set some guidelines at the beginning and go, hey, everybody, let's make a pact, okay? Let's make this a fun, low level, no tension, happy celebration. So no politics, no religion, whatever. Okay, everyone, and you can set intentions like that. If someone, and I don't know, I know in my family, after I haven't seen relatives for a while, it seems like they've been saving up their opinions for the entire year just to unload on me, at that particular event, right? Hey, you still doing that crazy radio thing or something, why don't you get it? You could have been a lawyer and, just rambling off. Once again, it depends obviously on your level of relationship with them. But, I would say, look, Uncle Bob, I agreed that this was going to be a no stress night. Or my favorite is, you sound just like my heart medication warned me about. They said no salt and no tense conversations. And right now, you're crossing the line. So let's just have a fun time, okay? So I mean, something like that to shut them down. But
Yeah,
it depends on the person, depends on who you're dealing with,
it's
and
so
whether or not
true.
you want to stay in the will.
And it's about those healthy boundaries. So that's what you're getting at,
Right.
Royce, is setting those healthy boundaries. So that way, as I say, we put our attention on our intention, as Sean brought up. What is our intention going into this? Are we coming in open and curious? Are we wanting to learn a little bit more? And if so, then setting those boundaries of, okay, just as Royce, you said, crazy Uncle Steve or whoever that is, right? Okay, because of the dynamics, if it starts to slide a little bit, I'm only going to stay an hour. I can say, yes, I can come. And to have that healthy boundary, stay an hour, show up,
Right.
be there, be in that space, yet it's only going to be temporary. It's not the rest of the day. And it doesn't have to seep into the rest of the day either. Right, Sean?
Well, I love this description of boundary because I literally have people who come to visit me because they feel lonely in their work and they make appointments with me because I listen to them. And that's something they need and I don't want to take it away from them. And that's cool. For some of these people, how much time do you have? I will say an hour, knowing I have two, because I know they're going to break the boundary. Why set myself up for failure by telling me I have two and then I'm taking three? So I can read it and see what's going on. There's an element, though, that you're talking about that's extremely powerful. I want to take it from implicit to explicit in that I use the word pause. And so if I don't feel understood, or if I see there's a potential tension, before interacting, I will pause, maybe for just 3 seconds. When we talk to ourselves, we can talk at like 300 words a minute, just a few seconds to think about something. What do I want to accomplish? Because my showing up is essentially an intervention in a cycle that repeats itself over and over and over again. I want to break up that cycle. So I'm intervene. So if I don't feel heard, I will talk to myself and say, okay, so if I don't feel heard, the best strategy is to listen to them better and paraphrase what they're saying, because human behavior, whether it be laughter or crying, is contagious. And so I will literally paraphrase more often in the conversation with them. And within 2 or 3 minutes, they are now checking in with my understanding. It's teaching by example. But the strategy of deciding to paraphrase, as opposed to walk away, which is always an option with Uncle George, occurs because I took the pause to think, what do I want to do right now? What's the most important thing I can do here? And if Uncle George is the host, I'm not going to walk away from him because he probably needs some reassurance in his life too. So now how do I want to proceed? But that's a conversation I have quietly. I would never have those words out loud because it would make things very bad, ugly, very fast. But it's a conversation that needs to happen during that pause. And one more quick thing is that we are the only animals on this planet capable of pausing before we react. Many choose not to do that. Many just react right at the starting gate. How dare you? Blah, blah, blah. You see, in some homes, in my home as well, people take their shoes off as a sign of caring respect when they come into the house. We have a doorway area where people take their shoes off, especially with people just do that. Well, if you walked in and didn't take your shoes off, am I going to start yelling at you? You don't know that that's the norm here. No, I want you to feel respected and welcome in my house. So I will just say, excuse me, I'm sorry, we didn't do a good job letting you know that we care about our clean floors because we walk around barefoot here, so we don't like tracking mud in. Oh, I'm sorry. But the pause is where all that thinking takes place. And the more often we do it, the faster we can figure out what's the best thing to do in this situation.
Exactly. Thank you,
That
Sean,
is,
for bringing
if I
that
could
up.
just jump in, April, that is a massive point, Sean, because that is a weapon. If somebody, especially somebody berates you to your face or whatever, take 5 seconds. 5 seconds is a long time. In your head, you'll be freaking out. But if you just turn your head and pause for 5 seconds and then repeat back to them what they just said, all of a sudden it's back on them and they're thinking now, oh, wow, that sounded bad the way that came out. And then it's back on them. A pause is a powerful weapon.
And all of a sudden we elevate intentionality and thinking.
Yes. And also I want to bring in, because I always say invite the pause. And it's because, and I love it that Julie already said this, that communication is the gateway to nervous system regulation and deeper clarity within. Thank you, Julie, for being here, by the way. And the other hounds that are chiming in, Curtis, and of course, Hounds of Business, and Mike Asherbranner, and those who are listening now and later. But I want to go back to that pause, because then when we regulate ourselves, when we give that space, as Royce perfectly said, our mind's going to be freaking out or, having all these thoughts spinning around, we can take a deeper breath. And it just takes a few seconds. And what we are doing is resetting our nervous system. We're not in that fight, flight, freeze. We have to react. And we're, that amygdala, the reptilian brain, can relax a little bit. And then we can remember our intention of why we showed up.
Yes.
Yeah. So thank you, Julie, for chiming in on that. And also, I want to invite anybody who's listening or watching here to leave a comment. We want engagement. We want even challenging conversations. You have 2 amazing, or 3, I should say, amazing people here that can give you some tips in real time right now, so we can help ease and bring more clarity into how to address challenging conversations. Yeah.
April, if I can just tease out that pause thing for one more time, I want to respectfully acknowledge that my use of the word is as much a part of your brand and Royce's brand as mine. I take no credit for inventing that concept. What I want to do, though, is just a few seconds is point out that this is a ball, and I use balls in all of my workshops. And my pause is to assess, like an idea I want to share with you, is not throw it to you, but think about the arc, the distance, low ball it, high ball it. What is your strength? What is your ability to catch it? How hard can I throw it and know that you'll get it? Because my objective is not to throw it at you, but to enable you to catch it. So whatever I say, the pause allows me to calculate which words are best to help you grasp that which I'm trying to share with you. It's not a matter of throwing words at people. It's a matter of engaging people. And this ball just is metaphoric for me, because it's during the pause, and everybody does this when they toss a frisbee or ball. They're calculating the best way to do it. But in speech, sometimes people just react and respond. And each person deserves a fine-tuned calculation what will help them catch the point that we're trying to make.
That's a really good point.
Abhor a vacuum. We do not like silence. We have to fill silence no matter what. And that's why the pause is so powerful, because not only are you recentering yourself, but whatever you say next is going to feel more important to the other person.
Yes.
So, and one thing I like to do too, especially in difficult conversations, is thank them. If they're yelling at me that I'm not a lawyer, I stop and I go, "Hey, thanks, Steve. That means you really care a lot about me and what I'm doing with my life. I really appreciate that." And they have no idea how to handle that. So that's another really good technique that I've used more than once, unfortunately.
Yeah, and saying it not in a cynical way, like,
Right.
yeah, thanks a lot, but in a more of that curious way. And
Thanks for thinking of me. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
yeah. Mike is chiming in, saying it's brilliant with that excitement, the ask, dial in that question. Yeah, people are very excited about this conversation that we're expanding upon, because it's always, kind of swept under the rug, or just kind of socially accepted that there's going to be those holiday gatherings, and it's tough and you have to move through it, and oh my god, I got to deal with the in-laws, and all of that conversation. That's just a story. It's a story that we just believe and we tell, and to, I don't know, what do you think, Sean? Why do people tell those stories about the struggle of the holidays and dealing with other relatives?
Well, it creates some common ground because everybody has those troubles. And so, we get some empathy and some support from that. The other thing, this is, I'm having trouble saying this because ever since you invited me, I go to bed every night thinking, what can I do that would be helpful for April and her audience? Okay. And so this is the opportunity for me to share that right now. Okay. So when people keep going into these same traps of repeating the same conversations over and year after year, and not looking forward to the holidays, we need to do something to disrupt those expectations. So I have created just for you, April, on this event, a family reunion first aid kit.
A family reunion first aid kit.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait to hear about it.
And it's right here. And so in this kit, when I ever go to anybody else's house, I bring something that people can eat. Okay. It could be one of those cakes everybody hates, so we talk about hating it. It could be some flowers, but not cut flowers, because that means whoever's running the household has got to take time out to put in a vase. That's an imposition on people's time. It could be a small vase, a $5 item. It could be, if there's children in the house, one toy truck, $2, a matchbook toy. But whatever is brought into the house, one of my friends likes pastries, and I always go to a pastry chef over in the house, because all he does, he has partial dementia. All he does is talk about his angers about yesteryear. And when I bring him a pastry, he starts talking about pastry shops and pastries he loved. I create a subject that people can talk about different from the other stuff. I also bring some things that people can play with. This is an indoor Frisbee. And somebody's going to throw it, a little bit, and somebody get yelled at for throwing it. But we're in the present right now. We're not talking about last year when you broke my vase, or last year when you spilled the gravy. We're in the present. And so I also have a large collection of objects like this, Nerf balls, and people are inclined to want to play catch. I also literally bring Band-Aids. And because when people have a cut and they can't find one in the house, I've got some in the car. But literally, I envisioned it as a sort of conversation or starter bag. Mm-hmm. And I went to one person's house. They had several kids. I thought, what can I bring as a housewarming gift? I'm not bringing a bottle of wine. I'm not going to bring a loaf of bread. So I got one of those giant rolls of toilet paper. Big house, lots of people. And so I wasn't the first one there, but after a lot of people were in there, I thought, now's a good time. I brought the toilet paper. I thought you might be able to use this. It was like worth 20 minutes of conversation. So we have an opportunity with this first aid kit for family reunions to invest in directing, not direct, but leading, inviting conversations that are different from the usual, do you still drink? What kind of pot are you smoking now? How's that broken car you've got? So introducing novelty to the conversation. And it just
Mm.
creates more presentness instead of preoccupation with the past. I hope you don't mind my doing that.
I
for a
love
little.
it.
I was
I
excited.
absolutely love that. And I
That's
could see
awesome, Sean.
Royce. Yeah, Royce really sparked. You got his interest with that.
If I
And
don't need it, I
it,
leave it in the car. If I don't need it,
Yeah.
it's just in the car. And I'll
yeah,
eat those pastries when I get home. But it's just to have something.
And don't forget conversation starters.
Yes.
Like, one of my favorites is, what did you believe as a kid that you later found out wasn't true? Like swallowing watermelon seeds, right? And they grew in,
yes.
or your gum never evacuates. That's a good word for it.
You have more power, I think, sometimes than you realize, Royce, because the conversation starter is inviting stories, not yes, no answers to questions.
Right. Exactly.
Do you still live there? Yeah. Okay. Now where's it going to go? What's your favorite food? But how
Yeah.
about those Yankee? Literally, your conversation starter is a storytelling conversation,
Mhm.
which engages people and helps them be more present. So that very
And
powerful.
occasionally you'll get one or two that still believe it's true. Some of my best radio shows were about UFOs and ghosts, and people get ready for a long conversation.
They
If
get excited.
you want to pick one of those.
They get excited.
That sounds like another conversation here. But yes, it's absolutely. Let's shift it up. Let's create a different, more stimulating environment. This
Yes.
actually lights up more of the prefrontal cortex, our creativity, our connectedness to others. Having that, I love it. That first aid kit, it's wonderful. And Ever said that, wow, they really like that idea too. Thank you, Ever, for being here. Uh, yeah, there's so much creativity and fun that we can bring to any conversation, to any environment. And it doesn't have to be the same humdrum, just as our minds try and play it out that way, because it only can work from the past. Our
Yes.
minds only work from past experiences, or it tries to project into the future. That's the worry, that's the anxiety. So when we can live from a more present state and really ask ourselves, how do I want to feel at the end of the day?
Yes.
How do I want to feel after I engage with this person? It doesn't have to be rainbows and unicorns here, people. It can just be a simple contentment. I want to feel more peaceful, or I want to feel more relaxed when I'm engaging with this. Okay, so let's set the tone before you even get out of your car, before you even get out of bed that day. Ask yourself, how do you want to feel? Breathe that feeling into your body. Your cells respond. You're going to vibrationally, energetically bring that forward throughout your day. People can feel it. I'm sure each of you know that. Somebody walks in the room and they don't even need to say anything. And it's like, oh, I need to stay away from that person. Or, wow, there's something heavy happening over there, so I'm just going to gravitate over here. How do you navigate through that, Sean, when you know that there's the elephant in the room, but nobody's talking about it?
With this picture.
Okay.
Some people see
What's the
rabbit,
picture of?
a rabbit or a duck. To toss out.
Ah,
The problem occurs when one person says it is a rabbit and only a rabbit, and if you see something else, there's something wrong with you. The problem arises when certainty emerges from things that are not certain. So if you have an opinion, it's okay if you have it. It's okay if I have a different one. The world is bigger than just one opinion. So as people present their position statements, or their anger, their irritation, or their past wrongs, their perceptions of past wrongs, my job is not to change their perceptions, more to accept that they're expressing themselves and to validate that they're expressing themselves. But I don't have to put that anger on if they're upset. I cannot be with my sister and her family without somebody being angry about some wrong that was done to them, which may not have been done to them at all. But I'm not seeking what's right or wrong. I'm seeking to blend with their experience and to affirm with them that I care about them, not about being right or wrong about the perceptions. And not to obsess about my mom, which we could obsess about for a long time. But when she was dying, the nursing staff said, just tell her a lie. Who says, I think there's somebody in my house. Say, okay, I'll look into it. Or say, I don't think I'm home. Can you get me home? Say, yes, we'll get you home. Just agree with her perceptions. Well, my brother and two sisters couldn't do that. They thought the truth was more important. So when she said, I think I heard somebody in my house, they say, you're wrong, you're hallucinating. What did that get them? She screamed. She'd be angry. They fought. And they felt, we're doing the right thing. Well, they can have their perception as long as they're not hurting somebody else with it. So when people have perceptions, I want to respect their perceptions. I don't have to agree with it. So, you think that lawnmower that I borrowed last year, I broke it. Well, you may well be right about that. I'll agree with it. It may be true. But I'm not going to buy you a brand new one. I have to go there. So there's this concern around when these patterns emerge that cause people to not feel good, there's often a corresponding frequency of the use of the word but. People start butting each other. And there's a device which is taught by improv people, which instead of saying but, say yes and. Just remove yes but from your vocabulary. Because you butt me, I butt you, and you can see the butt count going up, like a Geiger counter. So we want to add points of view, not confront points of view. And so that additive approach I found to be very helpful. It also works against buttons. I will say people push my buttons.
Oh.
You go to a party.
No one can push your button. Only you are pushing the button.
I don't have buttons.
It is. I don't know.
All they can do is define what they're paying attention to. In which case, I respect their need to do that. It doesn't hurt me. I remember, I hope this is useful. It's still on track, but I just feel compelled to share the story. When my son was about 4 years old, I was put into bed. I sat in bed, my turn. And he looked up at me and he said, Daddy? I said, yes, son? I hate you. I thought to myself, pause. I wonder where that's coming from. Pause. He's never said that before. Pause. This is interesting. I think I'll find out what's going on. I said, well, first of all, I'm so proud of you for saying that. It sounds like it was hard for you to say that. I'm not happy. Well, I'm proud of you for saying things to me that are hard to say. And I'm very curious about what it is that you need. I just want to watch 2 more minutes of television. And I know countless parents that would have disciplined their child.
Yeah.
4-year-olds don't know the meaning of the word, let alone how to spell it. There was something going on. So curiosity for what's going on is, again, the antidote for these issues too. You appear to pushing my buttons. That's interesting. I don't have any buttons. So how are you feeling? Can we talk more about that? Yes. What can I do to help you? We go there.
Thank you, Sean. That's so much, right? Just people are going to have to replay and listen to this over and over again about all of that. But I know Royce had something to share also about how to move through those challenging times. What do you have to share with our audience here?
Yeah, I think for me anyway, it's more of a mindset. First of all, I've finally gotten in my brain that 90% of the stuff we worry about never happens. And I know it's easy humans are great at catastrophizing, right? They go to the worst possible thing that's going to happen. The other thing that has really changed my life is living in the now. All we're guaranteed is now. I could be dead at the end of this podcast. So I'm going to make the best of it I can. And that's the place you need to come from. And as far as dealing with negative people, I always remember this because I had just moved to a new city and was going to be a new disc jockey on the radio station. And I had to go in and learn the control room. And from the morning guy who was still on, he just finished his show and he was showing me how, every board is different. And I said, so I asked him some really basic question, and somehow he goes, I'm not sure if I like you yet. And so I just looked at him, and I don't know how this line came to me, but I said, I hope you conquer that struggle. And he had no idea.
That was great. Yeah.
So, yeah, when someone says it to your face, I also happen to be not really today, but I was in the martial arts for a long time. So, after you reach a certain level, you can kill people so many certain ways. You become much more peaceful, believe it or not, because once you have that power, little things like that don't bother you nearly as much. But the thing is concentrate on the now. No matter if somebody's screaming at you or whatever, know that they're coming from a much different place than you are. Look, I'm here to have fun and live in the now. This is all we're guaranteed is right now. So make the most of it. That's how I look at it.
Yes. And not believing in those negative thought patterns that, are just stories about ourselves or others. And when we began this conversation, I asked everybody to remember, it's the communication. How are we communicating to ourselves first? Because this right here in you is what sets the tone. Nobody can make us feel a certain way. I'm sorry to tell you that, people.
Sorry to interrupt, April, but I'm staring at it right now. I'll give you the PG version, but I have a huge plaque right above my computer.
Oh, please do.
That says, hey, exclamation point. You've screwed up way bigger things than this. And that's the PG version. But it reminds me every day to take a chance, and just look, man, what's the worst can happen? Nothing is the worst that can happen. So that's that's my, and I see it every day. It's like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. And we have to laugh at ourselves too. Let's just be curious and, oh, that showed up again. That's interesting, isn't it? Okay. Let's get out a bag of fun that Sean has. Let's bring some playfulness into it. Life isn't as complicated as we believe it to be. And just by us pausing, taking that breath, really receiving more of ourselves. And then we're more confident and clear in our boundaries and how other people will receive the words that we're exchanging, because we're coming from that clear, more present space of authentic connection. Yeah, and you're most welcome ever for tuning in, and all the Hounds of Business and Mike and Curtis and everybody who showed up today. We really so appreciate you, Julie. And so before we leave, Sean, tell us how people can connect with you. What's the best way to connect with Sean and gain more insights of your wisdom? You have so much wisdom to share. It's absolutely amazing.
Well, you're very kind, and I'm going to steal an extra 10 seconds to say that I love Stephen Covey's work in positive behaviors, and one of his concepts, I think it's his, is the emotional bank account. And the premise is when we're making deposits in other people's emotional bank account, we create value. And if we do make enough deposits, we can afford the occasional accidental withdrawal where we actually do something stupid or something can be perceived as hostile. And it's tolerated because they know we're good people and they'll let that go as a mistake. But if we don't make positive emotional deposits, we've got nothing in the bank account. And so if we do a slip up, they will assume it's malicious and vicious and hostile, even if it's just a mistake. So I just want to throw that out there real quickly. Best way to reach me, in all honesty, is 413-668-5599. It's written in my on the post in there because I'm getting up to 15 calls a day from scammers. I don't answer the phone anymore. I would love to get a call from a real person. But for a longer term conversation, you want to book something, Zoom meetings, or another way to get in touch with me, my website is stopwastingwords.com. We have a free self-assessment for leadership communication on that website. It's available on page 1. And my email is seanemahar.author@gmail.com. And the E is important for me. It was my father's initial, but there are billions of Sean Mahars in the world. There's only one Sean E. Mahar. And so I made that the root cause
Of course.
for my email.
There's only one you for sure. Yeah. And
Thank
I'm
you
grateful
so much for this opportunity
to
share.
have you here. Yes.
You're great to be in conversation with.
Yeah, we enjoyed so much. And there's so much more to unpack for sure. Royce, how about you? How can people connect with you, my friend?
Well, everything is pretty much Voice of Royce. If you can remember that, you can pretty much find me. I don't know how I came up with that name, but yes, voiceofroyce.com, Voice of Royce on Facebook, Voice of Royce on Substack, or of course, I think you're putting in my link to my LinkedIn profile. I'm on LinkedIn every day. So, and I've got a brand new, it's going to be a free guide coming out. It's called From Mic Shy to Camera Confident. So helping people who are afraid to get online, get on camera, do a podcast, do Zoom, whatever. If that scares you, you're going to love this. And that'll be free, and that'll be coming out in the next couple of days.
That's exciting. So exciting. And be prepared to get a call from Mike Asherbranner, Sean. He said he's going to be calling you. And I hope you do get real people calls. That would be lovely just to have those conversations, right? So before we leave, what's just one thing that you want our audience to hear about, communication is care for the holidays and beyond, really?
Every place we walk, we leave a footprint. Every place we walk. And when we walk with people, when we talk to people, we leave an impression. I am stretching the metaphor here a little bit, but my question is, what kind of impression do I want to leave on that person? And I want to leave them better than I found them. I want to leave them happier. I want to leave them satisfied. I want to leave them seeing me as an asset, not as anything other than that. I want to build connections, not distance. And so in every conversation, in every interaction, we can leave them more intentionally. There's no such thing as small talk. We just shot the breeze for half an hour. No. Every interaction, we're creating impressions. And I want those impressions to be positive. That contributes to their self-worth as well.
Well said, Sean. Thank you so much for your contribution. And Royce, what do you want people to know about more of communication is care today?
I think my overall thought is, I'm always there to help everyone you meet, even if that's just a thank you at the grocery counter, even if that's just a quick, what people love? They love this phrase, especially if you can see their name tag. You say, "Hey, Peggy, you're doing fine work."
Yes.
And for that little sentence, people love that. So go out and tell people they're doing fine work, and you'll be amazed at the response.
Yeah. And I believe as you give, so shall you receive as well. With that caring, compassionate support for others, then you receive that back as well, because we're all mirrors of each other. Absolutely. And I truly believe this is I call it the stone soup of collective consciousness. So as we gathered here today and we added our own essences and just nourishing everybody who showed up, wanting more, wanting to understand how to have better communication, reach out to Royce, call Sean instead of call Shaw, y'all, call Sean, y'all. I want to hear, Sean, from you, how many calls you get after this broadcast. This would be fun. So, well, thank you everyone for being here. Thank you for being part of this Living with Intention live show. And, just remember that the tensions that we experience as we're going through the holidays with family, colleagues, loved ones, and through life, really, it's just asking you, it's giving you actually an invitation to pause. We talked about the pause here, right? To pause, to breathe, then you can respond with more care instead of reacting with those old patterns.
Absolutely.
So Thank you again for being here. Thank you all who showed up, and keep living with intention, my friends.
Thank you.
Bye.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Thought we did well, Sean.
Hello there, Royce.
I
Was
thought
hoping
we
to
did
see you one more
well.
time. April, this is like the Wizard
You're
of
on
Oz
mute.
for me. Beautiful.
You're on mute.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
No.
So,
I hear you.
Royce, you're so funny. The for some reason the intro and outro wouldn't